Good morning, one and all. I am Rabia Hanfi, Assistant Professor, SIRT, CSA Department. This is my third lecture of cloud. So, in this lecture, we are going to see topic RESTful services. What is RESTful services? Introduction of RESTful services, etc. So, this cloud computing comes in 8th semester. Its code is 802B. Now, we are going to see what is REST services. Here we are going to see introduction of RESTful services, key element of RESTful services, architecture of RESTful services. In the introduction part, we are basically going to see what is RESTful services or what is REST, what we call it, why it is used, why we are using it, what is the benefit. So RESTful service or representational state transfer is an architectural style which is applied to our web services to create and enhance properties like performance, scalability, and modifiability. RESTful service or web services are generally highly scalable, lightweighted, and easy maintainable services. These are used to create our APIs for web-based application. It basically exposes APIs from an application in a secure and stateless manner to the client. The RESTful services uses REST. RESTful services uses the protocol HTTP. So basically, REST is used HTTP protocol. Now, here we have seen that RESTful services are highly scalable, lightweighted, easy to maintain. It used to create APIs. Basically, these APIs are used in web-based application. RESTful services are going to expose our application if they are secure or not. They are stateless. RESTful services are stateless for client purpose. We are going to use these services for enhancing our performance, scalability, and modification quality. Now, what is what are the element, or we can say the key element of RESTful services? So we have four main element or four key element of RESTful services. First is resource. Second is verb. Third is request header. Fourth is request body. So here in the term we are using resource. So resource is the first element of RESTful service, or resource is the first element itself. Let assume the web application on a server has record of several employees. So we are going that particular web application URL is abc.com. Now, in order to access an employee record resource via REST service can be issued as command http demo.abc employee1. So we are going to give employee1 resource. These are and the http:/demo.abc is the command of that particular resource. So this command tells the web server to please provide the detail of the employee whose number is 1. So resource is basically the detail of your data, your information. What this is our resource. Now next is request verb. These verbs are going to describe what do you want with the resource. A browser issue a get verb to instruct the endpoint where it want to get data. Basically, get verb is going to get our data from different endpoints. Now, next is there are many different kind of verb available, including like post, put, and delete. The web browser is actually using a get verb because it want to get. So we can in the browser we have post, put, delete verbs, but in RESTful service we are going to use get verb because here we are going to get, or browser want to get that particular detail of the data. So here we use get verb. Now next is request header. These are additional instructions sent with the request. These might define the type of resource required or the authorization detail. Next point is request what body. Here data is sent with the request. Data is normally sent in the request. When a post request is made to the REST web service. In a post call, the client actually tell the REST web service that it want to add a resource to the server. Hence, the request body would have the detail of the resource which is going to add. Now, response body, response body? In this, basically, we are going to respond that particular request. So, our RESTful API, where where to query the web server via the request http demo.abc.com. Here, server might return an XML document with all the detail of the employee in the response body. So basically, in the third part, which is our request body, here we are going to we are going to send request for data. Here, uh, in this part, server going to post the data, and response part, basically server after posting the data, we are going to get the response. In this part, we have command. By that command, that http demo.abc/employee1 is a command where we are going to get employee1 detail, and we get the detail in the form of XML document. And last is response state code. These codes are generally codes which are written along with the response from the web services. These codes basically going to return with the response of the web services. For example, 200 code 200 or 400. If this most of the time, many students have going to have seen that 400 code is generated, which is the code of not a response. So these kind of example we get. 200 code 200, which is normally written with return if there is no error when returning a resource to the client. So next part is architecture of RESTful services. An application or architecture considered RESTful or REST style has the following characteristics. First, state and functionality. So these state and functionality basically divided into distributed resource. This means that every resource should be accessible by the normal HTTP command of get, post, put, delete. So if someone want to get a file from the server, they should be able to issue the get request and get the file. If they want to put a file on the server, they should be able to they should be able to either issue the post or put a request, and finally they want to delete the file from the server, so they can issue delete request. Second is architecture. Second, the architecture is client, server, stateless, layered, and support caching. So client server is typical architecture where the server can be the web server hosting the application, and the client can be as simple as the web browser. Here, as we see, we are in second part, the architecture. So we are going to follow client server architecture. Server can be replaced by stateless, layered, and support caching architecture. So client server architecture is where where we are going to hosting the application, or we can say that our server is going to host the application. The client can be as simple as the web browser. So web browser, it here the communication going to between web server and web browser. Web server is hosting the application and web browser is our client. Now, next, stateless means we are going to use the term stateless. Stateless means the state of the application is not maintained in the REST service. In order to ensure that a resource is deleted, we would need to issue the GET request. When we issue with GET request, we use first to get all the resources on the server, after which one would need to see if the resource was actually deleted or not. If we get the response, or we get details, then the resource is not deleted. If we didn't get any response or we didn't get any details, then our resource is deleted. Next, what is the advantage of RESTful server? So first is speed. As there is no strict specification, RESTful web services are faster as compared to SOAP. It also consumes fewer resources and bandwidth. Compatibility, so it is compatible with SOAP. RESTful web services are compatible with SOAP, which can be used as the implementation. And third is a language and platform independency. So these services are basically language and platform independent. Fourth is support of for different formats. So RESTful services are going to support HTML, XML, plain text, JSONs, etc. Different etc. All type of data format are going to support by the RESTful services. So these are the some advantage of RESTful services. In my next video, we are going to see the SaaS uh, uh, in my next video, we are going to see about software as a service, platform as a service, and furthermore things. Stay tuned. We are going to continue in my next video. Thank you.